Now, let me go over the top challenges we see at NAV and then a few resources. So the main things that we see with customers who come to NAV and have questions about their business credit is usually a lack of credit data, negative information, or wrong information. So let me give you a few tips here. Lack of credit data, as I mentioned earlier, is very common. That's where you don't have accounts that are reporting, so there's just not much for a score. So if you go into a NAV account right now, your NAV account, and you see, hey, my credit score is bad, it may not be that there's negative information. It may just be there's not enough information to get a high score. And so that may mean you have some work to do. So those vendor accounts that I mentioned can help. Business credit accounts can help. There's also a third-party service. This is not NAV, but it's a third-party service you can check out where they can add reports that you're already paying, like your business utility bills, to certain business credit reports for a monthly fee. So that may be an affordable solution for you to add a few accounts. And then NAV also offers paid accounts. So many of our customers use a completely free NAV account, but we also have paid accounts, Business Boost and Business Manager, that will report your payment to the commercial credit agencies. So every month when that hits your credit card, then we send over that information to the credit bureaus. It goes to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian and reports it as a trade line. And we've seen some good results from business owners who use this service. It's never negative information. It's only positive. And if you decide later you want to go back to downgrade to a free account, it's still there. It just won't report any more information because there's no new information to report. So that will be something that you want to check out if you're trying to really accelerate your business credit building process. Now, collection accounts may appear on business credit reports, and I'd encourage you to check this section carefully, especially to make sure you're not mixed up with someone else. I've seen business credit reports where there's duplicates, like the same collection account reported 3 different times with 3 different balances. You want to make sure that you correct something like that so it doesn't make it look worse than it actually is, and see if you can negotiate with that collection agency. Derogatory information can include things like UCC filings. Now, a UCC filing is when you get financing and a creditor has interest in the property of your business. So a great example is some of you may have applied for EIDL loans, the economic injury disaster loans that were made available through the COVID-19 crisis recently. Those came with a initial grant of up to $10,000 and then a loan subsequently. If you got a loan under that program for $25,000 or more, or excuse me, more than $25,000, the SBA places a UCC-1 filing. And this is basically a notice with the courthouse that says, hey, we have interest in the property of this business. If you're going to think about extending them financing, understand that we have first dibs on the property that's covered. UCC-1 is actually a pretty broad filing. So that one would be a heads up to other creditors that the SBA has this, broad interest in property. But other lenders or financing sources may place it. It could be against all receivables. It could be against inventory. It could be you get an equipment lease and they have a UCC filing for that equipment. So if you don't pay, they can repossess the equipment and they're first in line to do so. Our experience at NAV has been that sometimes these creditors are really good about placing the UCC filing, but they're not great about releasing the UCC filing. So if you find one of these on your NAV, on your credit reports that you check through NAV, we're not placing them, it's the credit bureau that is listing that information, then you want to make sure it's accurate and up to date. And if necessary, you may have to dispute that. And we have a couple of articles that can help you navigate that process if you're in that situation. Bankruptcy may show up, and sometimes it's inconsistent. So anyone can check business credit. So I checked the business credit of a well-known business that I knew had filed for bankruptcy. And one of the bureaus listed 3 bankruptcies, the other listed 5, and then one listed none because it wasn't picking up bankruptcies. So it's going to vary depending on the credit bureau that you're checking what they pick up. But that's something important, especially right now because a lot of businesses are in distress. Tax liens may show up. And again, you want to make sure this is accurate and up to date so that if, for example, you don't know anymore, that it shows a 0 balance on it. So then the question I often get when I talk about negative information is, well, how long does this information report? And the answer is it varies. It depends on the bureau. There's no law that says that they have to take negative information off after 7 years, like there is on consumer credit, where most information can't be reported after 7 years. So I had to kind of pull teeth to get this together, but I managed to find at least some information from the major commercial credit agencies about how long they report certain types of information. And this is what they list, is what they report. Your results may vary. You may see only 2 years of information, but this is what they publicly do announce that they're able to report if they choose to for what the categories of derogatory information include. So again, this will be on your handout if you need to look at that in more detail. Now, another important part of your business credit is the time in business. And that's important because lenders know that the longer a business is in business, the more likely it is to stay in business. And newer businesses have a harder time succeeding. And so this is one reason why you want to start building business credit even before you need it. So if you can start this process with a vendor account and a small business credit card early on, then a couple years into your business, if you're ready to really ramp up and grow your business, you're going to be in a better position than a business that didn't start it at all. So it's something where you want to start it early because that history can help your business in the future. Finally, inquiries. I get a lot of question about inquiries, and for the most part, inquiries are not a big deal at all with business credit. Some reports don't even list them at all. It's not going to affect your paydex score, for example. Experian says that they'll count the first inquiry, but after that, they'll ignore subsequent inquiries. So I wouldn't be too worried about business credit inquiries hurting your business credit. It's just not likely that that's going to be the case. All right, one more tip before I give you a couple of resources, and that is I want to encourage you to think like a lender. So NAV was co-founded by Levi King, who's a serial entrepreneur, and his first business was sign manufacturing in Idaho in his 20s. And this is actually a sign from a business where he acquired a bunch of equipment from that business, and he ended up with his business credit getting mixed up with them, et cetera. But one of his many stories was he had a customer, they had a chain of Mexican restaurants in the local area, and the client was difficult to deal with. He would constantly string them out for payment, and he'd ask to get paid, and then he'd give them a little bit just to keep them going, and then he'd give them a new big assignment. And in the meantime, Levi's business had to, they had to fork out money for labor and cement and the equipment that needed to install the sign, the plastic, etc. So finally, one day, Levi read a story about firing your customers, and he fired the customer. He said, "I'm done." And so he went in the next day to the business owner and said, "Here's how much you owe me. I'm not doing any more work for you." And it turns out that business owner had burnt his bridges with every other sign manufacturing company in a reasonable distance and had no choice but to work out a payment schedule to catch up and then pay on time going forward. So if you in your business are supplying anything, including your time or expertise to another business and you're not getting paid up front, you're a lender. And you have to think like a lender. And what do lenders do? Lenders check credit, right? So while you can't check personal credit without an account, like a commercial account that will let you do so, you can check business credit on a business. And I would highly encourage it. I went into a project with a business partner many years ago where I ended up getting completely ripped off. He owed me at least $40,000 when all was said and done. I never saw a penny. And I ended up writing off his experience. And I wish I had checked his business credit, because chances are if he wasn't paying me, he wasn't paying others. So one thing you can do with a paid NAV account is you can check other businesses' credit and monitor it. So that might be a key supplier, it might be a key competitor, it might be a company you're thinking about acquiring, it might be a business you want to go into partnership with. Any of those could be instances where it makes sense for you to check or monitor business credit on another business. All right, so I've given you some tips. I hope you found this a useful presentation. I would encourage you, if you don't already, to sign up for a free NAV account. Again, it's completely free, doesn't affect your personal credit. The inquiry is a soft inquiry. It doesn't affect your business credit because, as we mentioned, inquiries aren't a factor. And it will allow you to check and monitor your personal credit through Experian, your business credit through those three major agencies I mentioned, and it will help you build business credit too. So the instructions that I gave you in the e-guide also translate into the product itself. We have a business launcher that walks you through those same instructions and will help you build business credit. And then the other thing I'd encourage you to do, ultimately, the goal with building business credit is to get better financing, right? That's what NAV is about. We're a marketplace. We work with over 110 different financing sources around the country. And when you have a NAV account, we'll match you to offers from lenders looking for businesses that fit your profile. And so you'll see those in your NAV account. Now, here's a tip. We'll ask you to connect your bank account, and this is read-only access. We can't take the money out of your bank account by doing that. It's similar to what Mint does or Personal Capital, any of those sites do to monitor your, personal finances, same technology. But what it does is that information about the revenues in your business is crucial to certain lenders, and so it can open you up to more financing offers. So when it asks you to fill out your profile, do so, because that could help you get more and better financing in the future. So if you don't have a NAV account, check that out. We offer customer support. So if you have a question as you're setting up your NAV account or a question as you're building your credit, you can contact our customer service department. They're happy to help you. We also have a great credit and lending team. And if you're looking for financing specifics and you don't understand what's in your NAV account, no pressure. You could reach out to them and they're happy to help you understand and navigate